And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the Dog back with the UFC PFL breakdown show for this week. If you're live yesterday, you saw I had a little bit of technical difficulties. First time it's actually happened where I've been live and had to stop a podcast in the middle and then get reset up. We're going a little bit early today because we got the double show here and it's a holiday weekend and everything. UFC 276. Headlined by Israel Adesanya and Jared Cannonier, as well as Volkanovski versus Max Holloway 3. Two very, very important good fights there. Title fights, we got Sean Strickland, Pereira, MMA Ideas own, and many will be joining me for that. Before that, I'm going to go through the PFL here. Last week, I had the PFL out on a Monday. Six of the fights ended up getting canceled or switched around by then, so now they're getting a Thursday treatment for the rest of the season, most likely. I'm going to go through these pretty quick, to be honest. We've got 170, a few late replacements, and I'll just put up Kelly's message. I won't say one way or the other if I agree with this, but yeah, it's a solid message, one way or another. But still going to go through the fights. Bruno Capoloza lost to Matthias Scheffel. So officially no more locks coming from me ever again, apparently, unless it's Chris Curtis, because the action man is a lock no matter what. Beautiful performance by him. But going to go through the PFL really quickly here. Then I'm going to bring Many on to talk UFC 276. Norton MMA Lewis will be back with me eventually, but, life stuff happens. So got the 10 fights at the PFL here, live from Atlanta, Georgia, headlined by Kayla Harrison, now taking on Caitlin Young. I mean, get your money, Kayla. I'm happy for you. I would do the same thing if I was Kayla. So really, if I'm hating or making fun of it, it's just because I'm jealous that I'm not making $1 million to be 12-12 journey women. So I believe Kayla Harris is minus 4,000 right now. So we're just going to go quickly through these because at this point, I do not recommend anybody is putting a huge amount of money behind PFL. Between the judging, between the switching of opponents, the setups, it's kind of just it's taking a step back for me in minus 7,500. And elHussein pulled out against Carlos Leo. Of course he did, because he was going to be in for a fight. elHussein has no interest in really fighting. I'm convinced by that at this point. So, of course, he pulled out of the fight. I had Carlos Leo all day in that spot, by the way. I think Carlos Leo, if he can keep getting fights, has a good chance to win the $1 million this year, if I'm being honest, as well. But that's a real shame. That fight's too late, but I was going to go with Carlos Leo in that spot there. That was one of the fights I was going to spend more time on with regards to the PFL. Yeah, Leo was smashed him, I agree. So we'll just go through pretty quickly. Elena Kolinsnik versus Vanessa Mello. Vanessa Mello is absolutely terrible. She's never been great, but definitely after taking time up, going up to 155 and everything like that, I have no faith in Vanessa Mello. Elena Kolinsnik, she has looked decent. She definitely stays active. The Ukrainian fighter, very emotional in there, everything like that. P. Squiddy, what up? Good to have you here. Hopefully the internet can stick with me here. New equipment coming next week, by the way. So this will be the last week with the equipment I have here. So I apologize if there are issues today. But, Elena Kolinsnik is my play here. I would bet her as well at minus 170 to minus 200. I think that against Vanessa Mello is not fit. She's not good. And then, weigh-ins, definitely waiting to see if Ray Cooper can make middleweight. Exactly. And this is at welterweight. Yeah, Elena Kolinsnik is my pick. You don't get married to it here, but at minus 170, they are kind of convincing me to take a shot there. Next 155 bout, Martina Jindarova versus Zamasu Faizalanova. I think this is going to be a competitive enough fight. A lot of people really seem to like Jindarova, who does have definitely the better experience of the fighters here. But she's nearly a minus 300 favorite here. And I think you're crazy if you're taking those odds. Don't bet this fight, but goes to a decision. But I guess I'd take Jindarova. But again, not a great fight. I'm not going to be opening up fights like this. Marina Maktankina, also known as the last girl to go to a decision with Kayla Harris. Harrison now taking on Abby Montes. I think this is going to be a highly competitive fight here. Abby Montes has proven to definitely still be very much developing here. Martina did go the distance, which I think is getting a lot of people excited. I think it's a close enough fight that it should be a pick'em, not a minus 200 for Martina. Abby at plus 175, sure, you could take a shot, but Abby by decision. This is just not the best PFL card. Nikolai pulled out against Carlos Leo. Carlos Leo deserves points. It's too bad. This fight, probably one of the better fights on the card here. Magomed Umaltov versus El-Sawai, Gerard El-Hussein El-Sawai. This is a good fight. I'll be honest, Umatolov, he's 11-0. He's Russian, and so I know a lot of people are going to be excited, get right behind him, but I haven't been that blown away by him so far. He's a little bit, he's a decent size 170. He's going to be a little bit bigger here against El-Sawai. He'll definitely be looking to use, I think, the wrestling mostly. That's what you use against Uriah. Uriah eked past Tabao, and Montes got robbed from the Begret from Ukraine. I agree with that completely, but Montes not blowing me away either, even though she did win the fight that she was claimed to have lost. Magomed, though, 13 straight wins going back to his amateur career, 11-0 as a pro. Went to a decision with Leandro Silva, beat Kyron Bowen, who he's a quitter for sure. Definitely that was a rough night for me and Kelly between the Montes robbery and the Gleason robbery. This is why we're betting PFL very loosely. But yeah, so far I haven't quite seen the guy that was over in EFC over in the European regional scene. He did face a decent level of competition over there. He's a good finisher for the most part. I'm just not crazy about going the distance with Leandro Silva back in August of last year and then pulling out against Ray Cooper. Gerard is definitely, kind of rising, but again, coming off that quote-unquote win against Gleason Tebow split that I feel Gleason just, again, showed that Gerard has trouble, which is keeping guys off of him. Umatolov, I think, is not going to wrestle, though. I think this is going to be mostly on the feet. So I think that El-Sawai is the dog shot for me here. Not super confident in it, but at plus 170, I do feel it's a shot. I don't think Umatolov is a minus 200. I will say Gerard ekes by this one, wins a decision. I just haven't been that sold on Umatolov, and I'm not overly sold on Gerard like a lot of people either. But I do think it's mostly a stand-up war. I think that Gerard's able to win this one. But should be a good fight. Next fight, that's the first fight on the main card. Next fight, I'm not opening up. Larissa Pacheco versus Jenna Fabian. I don't have faith in these women making weight. So, they clearly want El-Sawai to win for what it's worth. Yeah, El-Sawai, they really are highly behind, and I'm just not sure how good Umatolov is. With regards to Pacheco versus Jenna Fabian, I wouldn't be surprised if both miss weight. I think that Jenna could crack Pacheco and put her away, honestly. Like, Pacheco's reactions to getting hit are not great. She's a huge bully. She's good at making girls fold who shouldn't be in there. I think Jenna could make this a fight, but, I can't – I'm not going to bet either side here. Maybe sprinkle Jenna. Minus 425 on Larissa. Pacheco is crazy, though. So definitely understand – Pacheco is a man as well, so TKO. Fair enough, but Jenna comes in missing 155 and weighing in the 160. So, who knows? Just not a fight I'm putting a lot behind. Next fight at 170, Zhao Zepharino versus Magomed Kirimov. Here's what I'll say about this fight. I'm very, very unsure about Magomed Kirimov's health at this point. He seems very, very depleted. His legs seem brittle. He seems broken down. He seems injured. He looks older and older by the fight. It's not just the white streaks through his hair. So for me, I think Zepharino's the type of guy who can really come in here and shock a lot of people. For me, this is a dog that I'm taking a shot on, and maybe I'm crazy. This is more fading Magomed, in my opinion. I'm taking Zhao Zepharino at plus 425, though. I do think he implements a lot of leg kicks. He really is a guy who makes you hurt in these fights. And Magomed is just battle worn at this point, and I don't think he's recovering very well from these fights. Some of these he's still getting away, with some wins at points. But I think a guy like Zepharino, he's going to go in there and go to battle with you, and I think he can really hurt. And I'm just not sure Magomed's healthy here. A healthy Magomed, I'm taking over Zepharino, but at plus 425, minus 425, it's like Sorty. Sorty definitely has some shit going on with him that's caused everybody to be able to fade him. Hopefully this season you've been making some money with me off of Sorty. And this is just a similar spot, except for me, Zepharino is a much more accomplished guy than the guy who beat Sorty last time out. I'm already forgetting his name, Delon or whatever. Shout out to Kelly for that bet. Delano Taylor face Magomed? No. Is that Delon? Wait, what are you asking about? Are you asking if Delano? Oh, Zepharino's out too? So Delano Taylor's facing? Okay, my bad. Delano Taylor's facing Magomed? I apologize. Yeah, I'll take Delano Taylor too. I'm fading Magomed Kirimov against anybody decent. That sucks if Zepharino's out, and I apologize for not knowing that. I'm going to move on to the next fight here so that we can get to that 2 o'clock start time for the UFC with Many. It is going to be on this video, by the way. Timestamps in the description. Next, it's the Battle of the Coopers, Ray Cooper versus Bobby Cooper. And Delano looks super good, for sure. I like Delano a lot. Bobby Cooper, Ray Cooper here. First, how much is Ray Cooper going to weigh? Second, what Bobby Cooper is going to look like. Ray Cooper should get by here, but minus 675, no thank you. Next fight, Rory McDonald versus Sabadu Sai. Shout out to Sabadu for beating elHussein 2 times in a row. Big respect there to the Swedish Denzel. I really, really like this guy. I think that this could be a really interesting fight, honestly, and I think it's going to be a little bit closer than maybe some people think, but I just think Rory is too damn well-rounded here. Still has a lot left in the tank, and at minus 245, he is a guy that I would compensate. All right, fair enough. I literally just opened Tapology right before this, and I'm not refreshing at UFC betting experience for the PFL, but Delano Taylor, I will take a shot at probably because it'll be a good, decent dog against Magomed. I like Delano. Here, I am going to take Roy McDonald, minus 245. Decent. I do think this could be a competitive fight. I really respect how Sabadu Sai has been looking and everything, but he is, I think a little over his head here with Roy. And then Caitlin Young versus Kayla Harrison. Kayla Harrison. So with that being said, I'll quickly just refresh the Tapology page here. And sure enough, Delano Taylor. I literally 2 seconds ago, that was not the fight on there. You're seeing this live, and there we go. So just to really quickly recap, and then I'm going to bring on Mr. Many to break down 276 with me. Elena Kolinsnik, Jindarova, Abby Montez, Draw El Sawai, Larissa Pacheco, I guess, Delano Taylor, Ray Cooper, Rory McDonald, Kayla Harrison for the 9 fights now. Count them 9 on this card. So there we go. That's going to do it for the PFL side of things. We're going to bring on Many here and get started with the 276 breakdown show. Sabadu Sai by Eye Pokes, Kelly says. And without any further ado, Many, how are you?
Yo, what's up, Aaron? I'm good. How are you?
Good. Better known as MMA Ideas to the masses out there if you're following them over on Instagram or on Twitter, wherever you're at. But 276 is upon us. I know you've already gotten to talk about it this week, so
you already know.
Definitely you can give that a little plug for people to know where to find that at some point. But this is a super, super stacked UFC card here. Definitely worthy of the pay-per-view. What are your thoughts overall on the card before we hop in?
Extreme stacked.
Extreme stacked.
A lot of stand-up fights, too.
I mean, are you including Sean Strickland and Pereira in that statement?
Yeah.
You are. Okay.
I am.
I am not. I am not sold on what Strickland is selling right now.
He is.
He's selling it, man, and I think I don't think you're that stupid at number 4 in the rankings to go in there and trade the whole time with Pereira and think you're gonna win.
He's gonna trade. He's gonna trade.
Well, if he is, he's going to sleep. If he is, he's absolutely getting slept. And there's no doubt in my mind. He cannot. That cannot be the game plan. Anyways, we're going to get to that fight shortly. That will be a fun one to talk about for sure. Sean Strickland is not an idiot, guys. He's not. You don't get to this point this good if you're that much of an idiot. Like, so he's not.
Hollywood Meyer. Woohoo! Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
No, I'm not. No.
Yeah, if he's gonna forget about all of us, and then
No.
Mr. Sunshine Kelly here. I hate that PFL card. Hate. Won't bet it. Honestly, I'm pretty close with you there, Kelly. I don't let a lot of cards pass, but
there's honestly a really good chance Kayla wins.
Shocking, yes.
Yeah, there's a good.
Who can hate on her for doing what she's doing either? She's making more money than she'd make facing like Amanda Nunes, and she gets to fight Caitlin Young on like 1 week notice. Like, I mean, as a Jew, I approve of this financial decision by her. I cannot hate. But let's go ahead and
she's getting a bag too.
Yeah, she's not getting touched, and she's getting money. So that's what we all want to do at the end of the day. 276 is upon us. We're hopping into the card. Timestamps in the description. As of now, there are 12 fights on the card, headlined by the 2 championship bouts there, which I'm very excited to talk about. We're getting the stake fights out of the way early. This is the stake fight of the night. It's the first fight of the night. This is where the stake fight should be. It should be on the opener, or it just shouldn't be on a pay-per-view. But fun fact here, Jessica Rose Clark and Julia Stollierenko, whatever you want to call her, these are 2 of the 4 women in the women's bantamweight division that are not ranked.
Oh, really? Is that true?
There are 4 women in the bantamweight division currently unranked. These are 2 of them.
Wow.
So, you know how like with the Holloway and Volkanovski fight, we're like, wow, this is like one of the first time 2 of the top pound for pound fighters are really fighting each other. We have the inverse here with these 2. Whoever loses will be fired. Maybe not Jessica Rose Clark because she's marketable, but I've got to think even Jessica.
I knew that was coming.
Even Jessica Rose Clark at this point, I think, is on the chopping block with her performances. 9-6 versus 11-7. Do you know how Julia Stollierenko wins this fight?
Armbar.
Armbar. How did Jessica Rose Clark lose her last fight?
Armbar.
Now, who did Jessica Rose Clark lose to though? Stephanie Egger. One of the best fighters, I think, in this division. In all seriousness, I think she's really good.
And Tracy Cortez beat her on relatively short notice too.
Yeah. And honestly, for this fight, I think that Jessica Rose Clark is going to use her wrestling. She's all of a sudden a very, very much a wrestler. Julia is going to be willing to go there because she thinks she has to get to her back to get to her finishes. I don't have a lot of faith in Stollierenko here. I think inside a minute, she armbars Jessica Rose Clark. Otherwise, this is a Jessica Rose Clark decision, in my opinion, or maybe a miracle finish towards the end, like the Alpar. And then this is going to be good for parlays, I think. Yep, I'll get your parlay at the end, Shangli. But this is just a fight I'm sitting back and watching. I cannot get behind either one of these ladies betting wise. Jessica Rose Clark at -165 is not going to get me here. Plus 140 Julia Stollierenko. I don't know who would bet that. That's nuts. Like nothing under plus 250 I'm considering with Julia against really any fighter. Decision for Rose Clark is my pick here. Pretty boring opener. My steak will be sizzling.
Yeah, I think Jessica Rose Clark is going to win by unanimous decision as well. I think she's going to, use the majority of the fight wrestling.
Yeah.
Use wrestling the majority of the fight. She's going to mix up some strikes on the feet, and she's going to cruise to unanimous decision win over Stollierenko. Yeah, I think it'll be a good performance for Jessica Rose Clark.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just like if you get armbarred here, you have to get fired.
For sure. And Jessica Rose Clark landed 5 takedowns versus Jocelyn Edwards.
Yeah, that is a very good win. The Jocelyn Edwards win is very good.
Yeah.
I mean, Jessica Rose Clark's 35 years old now. She's taking time off to get surgeries that have nothing to do with fighting. I personally fade those kind of fighters in general. That's just me. But, you know, either way, this made the pay-per-view. So congratulations to both ladies. Stollierenko obviously has weight cut issues as well that we'll have to keep an eye on. Honestly, I might have to cook the steak a little over here because we kind of have back-to-back steak fights here to start out the card here. Next is at 125 pounds. Here, Jessica I, no one's favorite fighter, Jessica I, taking on Macy the Future Barber. I don't know if she's the future. I think that Macy Barber's win over Miranda Maverick has really exposed Macy Barber a lot here. This is one that, for me, I think a lot of people are thinking Macy Barber gets back in there, cage pressure for 3 rounds, and wins this fight. That could happen for sure. I'm going to make a defense for Jessica I here in this fight, though. For one, Jessica I has fought the superior level of competition and beaten some of that competition. Yeah. She has a win over Katlyn Chookagian as her last win, for example. That's very, very meaningful. And the other thing is she's going to be the one who's throwing more strikes, I believe. I believe that Macy Barber is just going to try to hold and control and dominate for the 3 rounds. And I think that you're going to hear a lot of a lot of breathing out of Jessica I. She's back at Strong Style in Cleveland, so you're going to see more of the Jessica I from like 4 or 5 years ago, ideally, at least in the game plan. Jessica I is 35 years old now. Can she do it? 4-fight losing streak? Yes, I understand the things that are against her here. For me, I think that Jessica I is going to be able to kind of outmaneuver to win possibly even a split decision. This would be not a bad one to do this old split bet on both sides because I think it's very close. And I do think that Macy Barber approaching a minus 300 is crazy, ludicrous. And plus 250 on a former title contender. I know that she got a baseball bat to the head in that fight, but still fought for a title. She's beaten some of these good girls she's faced, and she's faced consistently good competition throughout. Sure. She actually looks to be in good shape coming into this fight as well, and she's back at Strong Style. I think she's better there than when she was out in Vegas. I don't think that ever worked for her. So I'm taking Jessica I at plus 240.
Wow. I think Macy Barber is going to win this fight by unanimous decision. I think it's going to look a lot like the Montana De La Rosa fight. I think she's going to use cage pressure, clinch, knees in a clinch, and her wrestling, and really make it a dirty fight, make it a grimy fight, and edge out a split decision. Actually, unanimous. I think unanimous decision. I said unanimous yesterday, so I'll be consistent with it. Unanimous decision, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Macy looked a lot better against Montana than she did against Grasso, obviously. And definitely did against Modafferi. I just think that minus 300 on Macy Barber here is kind of crazy. I just think people hate Jessica I, so you get some crazy odds on her fights sometimes. Jessica I has a lot of split decisions on her record.
Yeah, she does.
And
who do you think? Yeah, who do you think the winner of this fight should face? Maybe Erin Blanchfield?
I mean, wasn't Barber and Blanchfield set up at some point? Every now and then the sun shines on a dog's ass. I say Jessica I gives your OnlyFans a UFC win photo. I don't know what that means, Justin.
Oh, you were reading a comment. Oh, I was like, what?
No, Justin. I'm reading.
Justin, what the?
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, honestly, I can live these big underdog females have been coming in lately.
Yeah.
Also, we had Vanessa Mello last week.
Yeah.
Week before we had one as well. So I don't know. Again, 24 versus 35, nearly 36 years old for Jessica Eyes. So there's
But
that.
definitely shout out Darren Blanchfield. She's very, very good.
She's really good. Yeah, I agree 100%. And yeah, the 125 division's coming along. You know,
a lot of young talent too. A lot of young talent.
A lot of young talent. I'm super excited. Speaking of which, for Jillian's next fight against Brazilian Melissa Gatto, that's going to be an awesome fight. But
I think I know where you're going with this fight. I think I know.
Next fight, we are on Uriah Hall versus Andre Muniz. This is a really interesting fight, Manny. I am interested in this one quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to crown Andre Muniz quite yet as the next Damian Maia. I get what he did to Jacare. I get what he did to Bartosz Fabinski. But
and Eric Anders.
Yeah. And Anders. But here's the thing about Eric Anders, man. Yeah. Eric Anders is really good except for when he's not.
Exactly,
It's just like some fights are like, oh my God, who is this guy?
And it's a wipeout.
Yeah. Andre Muniz, this is a tough spot because for me, Uriah Hall is very, very underrated in his grappling, actually. He, especially defensively. He's never been submitted. Andre Muniz definitely has a submission game that he's able to, win fights here. For me, it's I could go through these guys' records. I'm just not going to with this fight. For me, this is a trajectory thing. But so I do think that Muniz is showing improvement. I think Muniz is going to be willing to stand in this fight. And I do think he's actually going to be able to have some skill, some luck in this fight against Uriah. Uriah, to me, the problem with Uriah is he just doesn't throw enough.
He doesn't throw enough.
Just doesn't. And it's just like, if he increases the volume in this fight, pushes the pace on the feet, I think Muniz could be in a little trouble, though. And that's the part that's tough. It's tough for me to really see Uriah Hall being able to implement the game plan he needs to in this fight. But Andre Muniz, if he gets stuck to where he isn't able to get this fight to the ground, isn't able to get the back and kind of get a sweep type of thing, his wrestling is not good enough to get Uriah down. Right. And then he's stuck in a little bit of a striking exchange where I still think he can have some success there, but we're talking about minus 300 favorite right now in Andre Muniz.
And you're facing someone like Uriah Hall.
Minus 350 favorite. Yeah. Against a guy like Uriah Hall who's been on main cards. He's headlined, co-main events. You're putting him third from the bottom here. If you don't think that Uriah Hall is coming into this fight extremely, extremely hungry, I think you'd be wrong. This is another spot that, to me, I'm not going to be betting Andre Muniz heavily.
Right.
My pick is Andre Muniz by decision. I'm going to be very, very nervous, though.
Yeah.
In that spot. Minus 350 is crazy. If you're on Uriah Hall at plus 270, I get it. I really get it. He, again, better level of competition. The guys who Andre Muniz has beaten are guys that make Andre Muniz look very, very good. That's what I'll say. And of them, who is still really even in their prime?
Yeah.
Any of them? Eric Anders is what, 34?
Yeah. Something like that.
Eric Anders is a shiny turd. No offense. But it's a very shiny looking win. Oh, you broke Jacare's arm. That's great. But it's Jacare at a point where and I mean, yes, if he can submit Uriah Hall, definitely can submit him. He can be the first submission for a lot of guys, Andre Muniz. He's a third degree black belt, super legit. Yeah. I'm just saying there are ways Uriah Hall can win this fight, both by decision and by finish, I can see. And for me, I think Muniz might have to really grind this one out, and I'm going to be nervous at minus 350. So to me, it's a pass, but Muniz by decision.
For sure. I think Uriah Hall will win by second round knockout. I think he's gonna. Yes, sir. I think he's gonna be able to stave off and avoid Muniz's takedowns and grappling exchanges for the most part. And keep himself out of danger. And I think he's gonna really win the striking exchanges and knock him out in the second round.
I love it. Honestly, you have more balls than me, Manny, because I'm going to be complaining about this next week when I didn't pull the trigger. I completely respect that. Second round, I love the second round too. I really do think Uriah uses a lot of this first round to download it. Great pick, Manny.
I also am not putting money on it like always. I'm not putting money on it like always because I just say what I feel based on watching.
But honestly, a plus 270 Uriah Hall is not a bad shot at all.
Yeah, that's a good
in
shot.
second round TKO, you're getting some serious money on that. So I love the pick, Manny. You don't have to bet to give betting advice. Also, just be honest if you're not betting. Unlike some of these people out on YouTube who claim they're betting and claim they have.
Really?
It's happening all the time out there. I won't use names because I have class, but I believe that there's a lot of people in this YouTube space who claim to bet who don't, and then give betting advice to other people, and they take that, and I think that's extremely screwed up because you're giving it under the guise like you're making the bets that you're
their money, and it's their money they're dealing with, right?
They're playing with monopoly money. And so at least you're being honest and saying you don't bet when you're making your you can still you don't have to bet to make breakdowns. Great pick there by Many. Uriah Hall. I'm tempted to do it too. I'm going to take the coward's way out with Muniz by decision.
That's a smart pick. Yours is a smart pick. Yours is a smart pick for sure.
Yeah, well, smart does not always come through. Next fight here is really
what you could do. Maybe what you could do is just Andre Muniz money line, and then maybe you could think he grinds out a decision or a submission. Maybe just money line.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's minus 350 though. That's the problem.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, either way, we'll move on to the next fight. Another very good middleweight fight between Brad Tavares and Dricus Duplessis. This is a fascinating fight to me. We get to find out if Duplessis is legit or not. After this one, because it's pretty simple with Brad Tavares. Brad Tavares beats the guys that aren't the real deal. He exposes them.
Aaron.
Yeah.
Stubborn Mick is sprinkling Uriah second round TKO. Look at it.
Yep, plus 1,000. So that's a very nice. Yep, and then Visceral saying Duplessis under 2.5 rounds. That's either. For me, with Brad Tavares and Duplessis, it's all about if Dricus can be quick enough to get to Tavares because that's my big worry with Dricus. He's kind of slow. He's got great power, but it's slow. He leaves himself open to get countered. Now, Brad Tavares goes like a decade between knockdowns. So for me, it's going to be probably Dricus, who's able to kind of push the pace in this fight and kind of, expose that high shell, high guard of Tavares. The body shots I think will be there a lot. Muniz was one of my favorite bets of the weekend. Don't love the price, but him catching Uriah's arm over 15 minutes seems likely. Love your content. My favorite of all on MMA YouTube. Thank you, Matthew Castellanos. Appreciate it. He's a big Munoz guy. Fair enough. It's a fascinating fight. This one also a really fascinating one. Tavares, he looked okay. In his last few, he's a decision machine. He's tied with Neil Magny for the most decisions ever right now in the UFC. So one more decision here, he gets a record. Tavares, he's underrated in the speed department at all, but it's just. So I do think that could be a spot where he could have some success. He just doesn't wrestle enough for me to trust that to be how he's able to beat Dricus here. I just think Dricus is walking him down for a lot of this fight, landing a lot of power, either puts him away or wins a decision just by being able to kind of lay more damage on Brad Tavares. I'll say Dricus gets the knockout in round 2, but for me, I'm not a big Brad Tavares fan at this point. He's had 20 plus fights in the UFC though. So you gotta respect him.
Yeah. I think Duplessis will win this fight by round 2 knockout. I think he's gonna get the better of the striking exchanges in this fight. He's gonna be a little bit better than Tavares, obviously on the feet. Mm-hmm. He's gonna be able to avoid Tavares' takedowns if Tavares tries to take him down, and he's gonna get the finish. That's what I think is gonna happen. But it is a competitive fight. Mm-hmm. But that's how I see it going. Tavares is very good.
Yeah, Tavares is good. He's been in there with everybody.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
right now you can get Tavares at plus 125.
Ooh.
So Duplessis is the favorite, minus 145 here. Going to catch Tavares. I got Duplessis locked at plus 130 last week. Well done. I think another thing to be noted is Duplessis, he was training for Chris Curtis, so he's definitely looking for tough fights inside of the octagon here. He's not trying to kind of ease his way up at this point. Brad Tavares is going to obviously be the older guy. I assume Couture at 34.5, 28 for the South African, and Druskis. South Africans have had a little bit of a tough go-around in the UFC, so there is that to consider a little bit, but I do think Duplessis is better than JP buys. So,
how do you rate Duplessis' win over Trevin Giles?
I thought it was a very, it was impressive, but he had moments in that fight where the speed, I think, got exposed. And that is one of my worries for sure. And another thing is Duplessis has a lot of early finishes on his record. So how does he carry that into the second and third round is another question with a guy like Tavares who goes deep in a lot of spots. So these are just spots to be cautious of, but I do like Duplessis here. We're going to go on to the next fight here, which is a fascinating fight at 170 pounds. The future Ian Gary taking on Gabe Green here. This is a very, very interesting fight, in my opinion. So far, buys. Okay, gotcha. Sorry, Kelly. I'll keep her name on my mouth, JP. So far, Ian Gary. How good is Ian Gary? How good is Ian Gary? Is he? I'm not ready to kind of crown him yet, for sure. He got caught pretty hard against Jordan Williams. I was at that fight. We were both at that fight in New York City. He did get the finish at the end of the first round, but he does that tall man defense a lot. The back up with your head straight back, the Dusko Todorovic, the Stefan Struve, the insert name of poor, defense from tall fighter here, Pablo Garza, whoever you want to put, and he does that a lot. Gabe Green's key to victory in this fight is forward pressure and volume, because he's going to have to include volume to land that overhand. Eventually, that I do think he's pretty set up to land at some point in this fight. I watched a few interviews with Gabe Green. He definitely is aware of why he's on this card, and it's because of Ian Gary. He's coming in very under the radar. One thing I'll say is Ian Gary is very good at beating opponents that are smaller than him. He's very used to it. Jack Grant, he's done it with many others, and Gabe Green is a 165er. He's not a 170er. That's a big problem here in this fight. And that is why, for me, I am still going to take Ian Gary in this spot. I know that yesterday even I was leaning towards Gabe Green when I kind of was talking to who would stuck around for that spot. But it's a very close fight for me. You're getting who has been a minus 400 favorite and a minus 425 favorite at minus 150, and Ian Gary now. I just think that is a really interesting spot. Gabe Green got absolutely dropped by my boy Johan Lioness in that fight. Lioness just overcommitted to that finish and gassed himself out. Otherwise, that was a win right there for Johan Lioness. I think Ian Gary is a fighter who has not shown his best performance in the octagon, not even close yet. He's going to keep improving and rapidly at 24 years old. I think certain people don't like him because he says dumb shit, but whatever. And no, he has not looked good. So and Gabe Green has looked all right. Gabe Green's looked all right in a couple of spots. I don't think Gabe Green looks like any world beater either. Gabe Green's a 165er at the end of the day. So for me, my pick is going to be Ian Gary in this spot. I think the statement would be to get the finish, but I see it being a decision. I think both guys are very tough, and this could be close. I just don't think Gabe Green has the volume that I need to make the forward pressure effective in this spot. So I think it's going to, with the, again, bigger octagon here at the T-Mobile Arena, huge advantage for Ian Gary in this spot. So, fair enough, Kelly. I get you. Hope not very nice of you to root against your Irish brethren. But I got Ian Gary in this spot against Gabe Green. And I think that when you're getting Ian Gary at a minus 170 spot here against Gabe Green, you can feel good if you want. I'm not going to overcommit to it, but I do think a minus 400, minus 425, it's been an overcorrection here, slightly in the odds. I think he's much better than Gabe Green in this spot.
Yeah, I think Gary will win by decision.
Mm-hmm.
Unanimous decision, to be specific. I think Gabe Green is going to try to wrestle a lot.
Yeah,
he landed downs against Phil Rowe, but I think Ian Gary is going to be able to avoid Gabe Green's takedowns for the most part. Maybe Green will land one, but I think Gary will have success defending the takedown for the most part, pick him apart at range, really use his superior striking to get the decision win.
And the other thing is Ian is over at Sanford MMA. Hard Knocks. That is the perfect spot for him.
Michael Chandler,
Yeah, he's going to get better and better, and I think they're going to come in with a really good game plan here against Gabe Green. To be honest, Gabe Green did take this fight on short notice. He was definitely ready. Bro's voice is higher. That's not nice, Oliver. And that's not true.
What do you say?
Yeah. I guess your voice is higher than Bert's MMA, which is not.
Oh yeah, I have a high voice. Yeah.
Well, whatever. Let's hear. Come on, Oliver. Let's hear your voice. But Donald Cerrone versus Jim Miller at 170 is next. What the fuck?
On ABC. On
ABC. Yes, sure. Why not? We can go. It's like we can go through the records. We can go through the histories of these guys. I mean, together they have the most wins in UFC history. Both of them do. Whoever wins this fight takes the lead. This is a huge fight. Like, this is crazy. Like the record history that's at stake in this fight is unlike any other fight. 36-16 versus 34-16. I can't even count that high, but I'm pretty sure that's over 100 combined fights between the two of them. And most of those coming in the UFC. Jim Miller's only fought at 170 one other time. He fought at 162 in a catchweight fight once. And otherwise, he's a 155er. Donald Cerrone had just cut to 155 2 weeks ago. And then his opponent's knee locked up. And, who the hell knows who's going to win this fight? For me, I'm taking Jim Miller just because he looks like he's still kind of improving aspects of his game he was once bad at. Yeah. But this is at 170. I'm not crazy about that. Donald could win this fight, but give me Jim Miller. But who knows? Who knows? This is a weird fight.
Yeah, I think Jim Miller will win this fight by unanimous decision. I think it will be an all-striking affair. Very minimal wrestling. I think Jim Miller is a little bit better on the feet at this point in both their careers. Which is
crazy. And that's crazy to say back in the day when they fought in Atlantic City or whatever for their first fight. It's crazy to think that Jim Miller's now pretty comfortably the better striker.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think he's going to be able to control the majority of the exchanges on the feet. It's going to be a competitive fight, but I think Miller is going to win by decision.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
He has it anymore.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Cerrone deals with the leg kicks from Miller, too. He does check leg kicks really well, so that could be a way he really does well. But, yeah, I mean, Jim Miller, minus 190, that's scary.
Miller's boxing is very crisp now.
Yeah, and now he doesn't even have to worry about cutting weight, and I don't think either fighter really will for this. Plus 160 on Donald Cerrone. And, since he found out he's had Lyme disease, he's been a completely better fighter. He's taking care of his body. Donald Cerrone is doing anything but preparing for a fight right now. I agree 100%. I'm totally fine Jim Miller here as well. On to the next fight. This is the featured prelim. This is one of the best fights, if not the best fight on the card here, in my opinion. Brad Riddell versus Jalen Turner here at 155 pounds. How Jalen Turner makes 155 is mind-boggling to me. The dude is so massive. He's so quick. He's so strong. What he did to Jamie Malarkey in that last fight was no malarkey. That was an absolute beatdown of a guy who had a fight of the night performance against Brad Riddell in their UFC debut. Or Brad Riddell, the difference was Brad Riddell's grappling.
Yeah.
Brad Riddell's grappling is showing up in this fight, and it must show up in this fight in order for him to win. I will say that off the bat. But because for me, Jalen Turner's speed, his and his size and his everything is an advantage till it isn't. I feel that good, high-quality grapplers definitely can use that grappling against Jalen until he shows me otherwise. Is Brad Riddell that high of a grappler? For me, I think that Brad Riddell is going to be just physically outmatched in this spot. Jamie Malarkey is one of the bigger 155ers in the division, but he wasn't big enough for Jalen Turner, and we saw what happened. I just think there's a physical amount of overwhelmingness that comes to Brad Riddell in this fight. Jalen Turner, to me, I think finally shows that the wrestling chops. I do think he gets taken down at times in this fight. I think he's able to get up, and I think he gets up, hurts, and puts away Brad Riddell at some point. Jalen is just a finisher, man. He's dangerous. He's long. The big octagon is huge for him in this spot. And Brad Riddell, I do think, is just going to be a little too small to be able to keep his game going for the full 15 minutes. So I like Jalen Turner. I think that he lands.
Turner will wrestle? You think Turner will wrestle?
I think he's going to have to defensively, yeah.
Oh, okay. Defensively, got you.
I think Brad Riddell is going to be looking to wrestle a lot in this fight.
Ooh, wow. I think, honestly, it's going to be an all stand-up affair. It's going to be an absolute war for the first round and a half until Riddell knocks him out in round 2. And yes, sir. I think Riddell's going to catch him. Riddell's going to catch him on the chin and put him away in round 2. Luque knocked Turner out. Obviously, that was at 170, but I think Riddell.
Turner. I mean, Luque is a giant 170.
Yeah, that's true. But I think Riddell is gonna win the exchanges on the feet, and he's gonna crack Turner and knock him out in round 2.
So you think Turner's gonna eliminate that reach and just kind of make this more of a
stand-up fight.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I actually think.
I see a lot of people on Riddell, and I just figured it was mostly edging towards the grappling here. Jalen Turner minus 150, I love it. Plus 130 on Brad Riddell. I respect it. I understand both sides here. Kelly has Jalen Turner by submission at plus 800. That would be crazy, but I don't hate it either. You can get some very odd submissions with his frame and everything.
He did submit Magomedov, so that's that.
Yeah, I think that's the potential to be the fight of the night, honestly. I think it's a really great way to go into the pay-per-view there. And what a statement by Brad Riddell if he gets the knockout there. I will be first in line to be buying all the Brad Riddell stock I can if that happens, and the many stock, because that would be a great call by UFC. So next fight, we're on to the main card. The Sugar Show is upon us. Many, you are a fan of Sugar Sean O'Malley. I want to see him with his Inspector Gadget arms reach to get Turner's chin. And then, damn, he's throwing Steph Curry threes from way back with his predictions. That's why we have Many on here. I'm going to, say with this fight here that I'm very, very interested. First off, something I don't say about a lot of Sean O'Malley's opponents. This guy's legit. This guy's tough. This guy's dangerous. Pedro Munoz at least was those things. The young Punisher who's now almost 35 years old. I'm not sure how much he's got left in the tank here. Speed kills. This is definitely a speed issue here in this fight. Sean is so much faster than Pedro.
And reach.
Yeah, it's faster and longer. Right. This is really, really tough. And Pedro Munoz throws a lot of leg kicks, though. And Sean does not like leg kicks. So Sean's going to have to be in and out. I said this a few weeks ago. who did I say that about who was nothing like Wonder Boy, but I said he had to fight like Wonder Boy. Either way, this is another example of a guy who has to fight like Wonder Boy here. Sean O'Malley's got to be in and out. He cannot let his legs get kicked repeatedly, because I do think Pedro has hard leg kicks, hard calf kicks that I don't trust the toughness of Sean O'Malley at all. And I do think there's a realm where Pedro Munoz knocks out Sean O'Malley. And the thing is, Sean is just massive. He's massive compared to Pedro. And it's just like he's so much faster. And I just think that, like, if Chico can, I think Pedro can squeeze a decision.
Chico's your dog's name, isn't it?
Something? Chico's my dog. I think he means Cheeto.
I know.
And and then UFC gave O'Malley a smaller, and the fighters lost his confidence. Yeah, that's the thing. But Pedro.
Wait. Can I say something real quick? The saying small is less than confidence. That's just saying like another O'Malley opponent in case he wins. That's just like one of his excuses.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And I rate this fight very, very highly for Sean. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight at all.
No.
I think it's going to be a very, very tough fight. And, I do think it's closer than the odds think.
Yeah.
That being said, I think Sean wins this one. I think Sean puts him away at some point in this fight. I think that after this, that I don't think that you're going to be able to say it's a small, lost confidence opponent. But, I do think this is one more to throw on the Sean O'Malley fire here. And I think he gets the TKO. Round 2.
Wow. If there is a third person on this breakdown, you know who I'm talking about. And you said Sean O'Malley by knockout. That was, oh my God. And Eric can attest to this. I've been asked to come on the show for 276, remember? Back in April or maybe even March.
Absolutely.
For this fight right here. Okay. I think Sean O'Malley will win this fight by unanimous decision.
Okay.
I think he will get leg kicked in this fight. I recognize he will get leg kicked in this fight. Pedro will try to take him down and submit him like he submitted Rob Font. Rob Font. I think O'Malley will use his reach and stuff the majority of Muniz's takedowns, and really use his speed to control and dominate the striking exchanges. And I think he's going to win by decision and move on up in the rankings.
You think they're going to do the Giannis fight next and kill Giannis?
Ooh. And what Giannis?
He would kill Giannis.
Tell that to someone.
He would kill Giannis.
I think he beats Giannis by decision in the fight of the night. I've been saying that since November. I think he beats Giannis by decision in the fight of the night, but he would beat Giannis.
Font and O'Malley is a better fight for sure.
What would happen in O'Malley versus Giannis? What?
O'Malley would kill Giannis.
Oh man, that's possible. I mean,
and the odds would be close because everybody loves Giannis right now.
Yeah, Giannis does get hit a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
He always gets bloody in his fight, and you do not want to get.
And you want to talk about a fight where we're going to be talking about the reach disadvantage.
Yeah. Oh man.
But Font versus O'Malley, I'd be way more interested in because Font has a very similar reach to O'Malley. Those guys are two of the longer guys in this division. They fight so technically. So, but yeah, here it's O'Malley, but minus 300. No, thank you. Plus 250 on Munoz. I get it, but yeah, minus 300 on O'Malley. I'm not lining up for that.
Right. If he beats Munoz, I think they might give him a fight night main event, honestly.
Yeah, they need to. He needs to he either needs to open a pay-per-view or be a main event.
Yeah.
The Font volume, exactly.
Superstar Sean O'Malley.
Yep. Next fight on the main card at 170. This is another weird fight at 170. The 170 fights are very odd.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler versus Bryan Barberena. We haven't seen Lawler since that Nick Diaz fight. I was at it. It was weird. It wasn't super inspiring on either side there. Bryan Barberena coming off that split decision against Matt Brown. That was quite inspiring to me. First of all, I had Bryan Barberena in that fight, judging it. So I'm surprised it was a split. I think the right guy won, though. I think Matt Brown has more left in his tank than Robbie Lawler at this point.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler, I just, I think that Robbie Lawler's caught in some breaks with this fight that make me more willing to consider his side now. I was a little bit, especially when this is on the prelims, wondering how Lawler was even going to get motivated to really show up for this fight and be hungry. Because one thing he said after the Nick Diaz fight is why he was able to get up for it was Nick Diaz. It was huge. It's been in his head for a long time. I just don't think he's going to be that hungry against Barberina. Barberina manages the distance really well with his striking as well. Yeah. Barberina still seems much hungrier, good physical tools as well, and everything like that. And I just think that Barberina is still much more in the thick of it. I'm not sure how in the thick of things Lawler is. I think we could see gloves in the middle of the cage after this fight from Lawler. And everything like that. I'm going to edge towards Barberina. I just like the way he is able to strike with the distance. I think he has better durability. I think he's hungrier.
Yeah. I think. Would you agree with me if I said Lawler his volume has decreased a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what I said yesterday. I think Barberina versus Lawler is going to be a stand-up war. Much like a lot of the other fights on this card, I think it's going to be a stand-up war for 2.5 rounds before Barberina wears Lawler down and TKOs him.
Wow.
In round 3. Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good fight. I can see this being a banger. For as long as it lasts, but Barberina will win by 3rd round TKO.
Dude, some of the shots Barberina took against Matt Brown were insane.
Dude, that was honestly one of the best fights of 2022, actually, so far.
Mm-hmm. Low key. I agree.
Low key. Yeah.
And then Lawler can sneak out a win if he sneaks in takedowns. Lawler hasn't wrestled since he came back to the UFC. Lawler hasn't wrestled since he moved out of Iowa. So, that's something that I don't see happening. And Barberina's got underrated.
Try to hit you with that right hand, then, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but it should be an interesting one. And we got an underdog agreement here in Brian Barberina at plus 100, even money underdog, minus 120 on Robbie Lawler here. It's been moved up to the main card due to Lauren Murphy and Misha Tate being removed here. So should be an interesting one at 170. But we both got Barberina there.
This fight.
Now we're on to will he or won't he? Yeah. Will he or won't he?
Okay.
I already tipped my hand. I don't think he will. I don't think he's that stupid. I do think that Sean Strickland has had to have seen that the luck that Mikheyev did have in that fight and others have had is when the wrestling was involved. Barberina is so shop-worn. Robbie is a shell of himself. I don't want action on this fight. Fine. Hell yeah, Visceral. Visceral's with me here. This is my play. Sean Strickland by submission. He's not stupid. He is not at a bad camp here at all. And
wait, that's your pick?
Yeah.
Whoa. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I am on team Sean Strickland in this fight here. Right. For me, I love Alex Pereira. It's so fun to think about and everything like that. Everybody wants this Izzy fight to happen, including the UFC. This is a title contender fight. A 5-1 Alex Pereira, who 2 fights ago beat Mikheyev, 3 fights ago or beat some guy named Thomas Powell who worked at a wedding, and everything like that. It's I'm just saying, man, Alex Pereira has overachieved enough. And just saying, Israel Adesanya is going to beat Alex Pereira's ass if he does get to that fight. I'll say it right now. Israel will beat him up and down. But Sean Strickland is going to shoot for a takedown within the first minute. He's going to have Pereira on his back. Yes, he will. He is not trading with Alex Pereira. We are going to hear boos inside Vegas after he wins by rear naked choke, because Sean Strickland is submitting Alex Pereira at some point in this fight. Strickland is not going to trade. He's been highlight reel KO'd before by a Brazilian.
Alessio dos Santos, yeah.
One of my favorite fighters in all of MMA, Alessio dos Santos. Please come back wherever you went to. I love you, Elizu. But I'm telling you, Sean Strickland is not dumb. Sean Strickland knows what he's doing. I'm on Team MMA here. Sean Strickland by submission. And fine, me and Paul finally agree. I'm not proud to be on the same side as Paul Shaughnessy, dude. But sometimes you got to agree with a fool. I'm on the fool's side here. Should I turn my head to the side like he does? How does he wear his hat like this basically now? I'm Paul Shaughnessy, Team Paul Shaughnessy here.
That's
we were both on Sean Strickland. He's some YouTuber who I use.
Okay.
With Cody Safdie. Shout out to Cody Safdie. I want to do a breakdown with you, but not Paul. Sean Strickland by submission.
Okay.
Team Paul, baby. Team Paul. Let's get some beers. I'm 40.
Okay. I think Alex Pereira will win by unanimous decision.
Oh, that's so boring. Knock him out at least.
I think this will be an all stand-up war. No takedowns from Strickland.
And he doesn't knock him out in 3 rounds?
I know. I think Strickland's gonna be tough enough. Just like he didn't knock out Bruno Silva. I'm sorry. I did not mean to mess that name up. I think it's gonna look like the Bruno Silva fight, and I think Pereira will win by unanimous decision and an all striking affair. Pereira gets the better of the striking. He's a more versatile striker and win by decision. No takedown. Bruno
Silva fight was impressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was waiting for this fight. All
right. Well, yeah. So me and Paul Shaughnessy on Team Sean Strickland. And we got Sean Strickland. It's a pick on -110 both sides. I have Uriah Hall by decision, realistic or slim. Erebus, I would say it's slim. I would say you might as well but I mean, depending on the price you're getting on decision there, I'm sure you're getting a good. But I mean, plus 270, you should just go with the money line on Uriah if you're feeling Uriah, because I do think Uriah could knock out Muniz in this fight as well. But I don't think Uriah is a bad spot at all. Many took him by second round TKO.
I did.
As well as Pereira. That will be a very interesting fight to revisit next week, and either hear people thanking me or hear people calling me a stupid motherfucker. I can't wait. Either way, it's the beauty of this game. We're on to the 2 title fights now. My main event is this title fight because I am more excited about this one personally. Volk, Max 3. Yes, I think it should be the 3rd. I have it 1-1, just like everybody should have it 1-1.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch that second Max Holloway fight against Volkanovski, and you score that for anybody but Max Holloway, I think you need to get your eyes checked.
Yeah.
Max won that fight.
Yeah.
Max knocked him down twice in that fight. Max outstruck him the first 3 rounds very easily.
Yeah.
That was Max's fight. And I think since that fight, I think that Ortega's had 2 very good fights, Volkanovski's had 2 very good fights. I don't really think what he did to Korean Zombie does much for him, though. I mean, that's great. It's a great performance and everything like that. And Max is coming off that war against Yair Rodriguez, constantly underrated, underappreciated, disrespected Yair Rodriguez, probably the most disrespected fighter in MMA currently is Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's very, very good, yeah.
Yeah, and he's very tough. That's the part people don't talk about enough with Yair. They don't think he's tough for whatever reason. And so, with this, the dog is barking. Is that a preview? We'll see. But, I mean, for me, I really think that Max didn't take as much damage as a lot of people like to rate in that Yair fight. He got cut, so it made it look much worse. But Clint put 3 units on.
What?
Oh my God.
Whoa.
That is insane. If you're putting 3 units on Don Cerrone, you're definitely betting Monopoly money. There's no way you're betting real money and putting 3 units on unless your units are $1 each. That is such bullshit. But with this fight here, back to this fight, this is going to be a great fight. They fought 10 rounds, and I'm telling you right now that I do think that one of the keys for Max Holloway in this fight is to actually lack volume. I know that seems crazy with Max Holloway because he's got the record for most strikes landed. He's got the Qatar fight and many other fights.
You want him to counter strike?
Hmm?
You want him to counter strike or something?
I want him to kickbox a lot in this fight.
Kickbox. Okay.
Yeah, and at times, but Max needs to be a pure kickboxer here in this fight. If he's purely boxing, he leaves himself open to those counters of Volkanovski. He leaves himself open to the takedowns of Volkanovski. He brings himself into the world of Volkanovski. He needs to pick and choose his spots from the outside. He needs to move and strike with intent on his strikes. I do not believe volume is the key in this fight. I think it is picking and choosing your strike spots. And for me, it's hard to pick anybody to finish it in this fight because these guys are so tough. They're so good. They know each other so well. Yeah. I think we've got another really good fight on our hands. For me, I think that Max Holloway, it's the weight cut for me. That's my worry. My biggest worry is the weight cut. You see the legs of Max Holloway already. They're super skinny. I think this is a tougher weight cut for him. As these guys have moved on in this division, Volkanovski, thinking about moving up to 155 seems purely to get more challenges. For me, Max Holloway, at some point, it's going to be a necessity for him to move up to 155 because he just can't eventually making this weight. I don't think we're at that point yet. I do think that Max has a mental advantage over Alexander Volkanovski. I do think that in this fight, Max Holloway takes it. I think Max Holloway wins the decision. I think these guys could fight 5 times. I really do. We're seeing 2 of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and Max Holloway is included on that.
Yes.
It's not just Volkanovski.
Yes.
Max Holloway might be one of the most entertaining fighters in the world. He's also one of the best.
These are the top 2 in the world, regardless of promotion, any of that. These are the top 2.
These are the 2 best featherweights in the world. I do believe I know it's 2-0 technically for Volkanovski. Yeah. It's 1-1. And I just think that people don't even realize how much judges control, how much you look at someone's legacy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is why, if he's coming into this on a win, these odds are flipped.
Or pick him.
I think, exactly. But instead, you have Volkanovski as a 2-1 favorite in a fight where they've split 5 rounds.
Yeah.
This is super close. You're on the 9th island now. And you're on the 9th island in Vegas here. Max Holloway is extremely calm and confident coming in this fight, and so is Volkanovski. Neither one of these guys is going to win because the other guy isn't ready, in my opinion.
Right.
I think this is absolute classic. I understand everybody taking Volkanovski here 100%. I'm taking my dog shot at Max Holloway, and I got Max Holloway by decision. I know you don't agree with the line, Kelly. I get it. But I got Max Holloway, and I would take Max Holloway to pick him. At an underdog price here, I'm taking Max. And Wrestling playing both sides is probably the smart betting line. But I got Max Holloway by decision here. Max Holloway loses this fight. He's 0-3 against Volkanovski. He's never getting another title fight. And then why did Max pull out of last fight?
He had an injury like 2 days after the fight was announced. Yeah,
exactly. He pulled out very early. I think he realizes how important it is to be going into this fight as close to full strength as you can. He can't go 0-3 against Volkanovski. All of the pressure is on Holloway here. Volkanovski loses this unless it's by a brutal finish. He's getting a rematch, and he's fine. Volkanovski will be fine. If Volkanovski wins this, he becomes one of the best pound-for-pound fighters, if not the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Yeah, Volkanovski is going to be a title fight.
This is a huge fight.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to fight for a title. Volkanovski's going to fight in a title fight next fight no matter what.
Yeah, Max won if he loses this. Absolutely won. And for a long time.
Correct, especially if Volkanovski is still champ there. When you say mental advantage, maybe hunger also, because Holloway needs this win, right?
And he's being pretty counted out.
Yeah, so mentally, you might be more hungry. And that will play a factor, especially that could play a factor, especially in this fight. I think Alexander Volkanovski will win by unanimous decision. I think it's going to look very similar to the first fight. I think he's going to really it's going to be competitive in the striking exchanges, but Volkanovski, like the first fight, and the second half of the last fight is going to be a little bit better in those striking exchanges. There's going to be not really any takedowns. There's not really going to be any takedowns, and Volkanovski's really going to have success standing up and cruise to a unanimous decision. He's just going to, you know what I'm saying?
Have you rewatched the second fight recently?
I haven't, no.
Okay, I'd be curious because it's rewatching that second fight. It's not close on the feet. Max is winning.
Right, but the later rounds, Volkanovski did have some success.
He did. I agree.
Yeah.
But
so when I say later rounds, you know what I mean. But yeah, but yes, on the feet, on the first 2 rounds, it was not close.
Yeah, and then A saying he bet the over 4.5, and now all you're hearing is argument. I don't see the argument for how this fight has to go to the distance. And
right,
yeah, visceral. Right. First and second fight are free on YouTube. Yep, they're definitely good to watch. And 4 and 5 were close, and 1 through 3 just weren't. Max had a much bigger lead.
This is unpopular opinion, but I thought Max won that 4th round in the second fight.
Yeah, I agree. I had it 4-1.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. And it's just like, Max coming into this, I'm not trying to put too much thought into interviews and everything, but his interview with Brett Okamoto on ESPN YouTube right now, about 20 minutes long, great listen. The perspective Max has coming into this fight is really
he's so chill.
Yeah, he's very secure in himself and everything like that. And Kelly thought Alex won 3. I didn't, but yeah, it was close for sure. I think we're in for another close one here. The odds, I believe, are minus 210 on Alex Volkanovski, plus 175 on Max Holloway. Again, if it's a pick 'em, I'm probably just sitting back and watching this. I'm going to take a shot on my underdog and Max in the co-main event. Really, really great fight. Max maybe lost and will lose again, baby. It was close. I don't agree. He didn't lose. But we're on to the main event here. Main event time. This one, Israel Adesanya making his return against the next contender, Jared Cannonier. How does Jared Cannonier win this fight? I think that he's not going to out-volume Israel Adesanya. So he's going to have to hope it's a mirror defensive 5-round, slow-paced striking match that somehow he's able to get enough moments in 3 of the rounds to hurt Israel in the eyes of the judges and win a close decision. Or, he can land power and anybody can finish anybody, sure. But to me, I just think that Jared Cannonier, his real only chance here is to use wrestling, which I don't think he's got the wrestling good enough to do what Jan Blachowicz did.
Right, yeah.
I just don't. And defensively on the feet, I rate Jared Cannonier pretty highly. And I do think he can do enough to stay out of getting knocked out by Israel Adesanya.
Right.
I don't think this is going to be a very entertaining main event. I think we're going to have one of these main events that's a come down after a huge co-main event where it's so close and entertaining in the featherweight title bout. I don't think this is going to be too exciting, too entertaining. I think we're going to see a lot of mirroring and a lot of low volume striking from both sides because we're going to see Adesanya trying to kind of stay out of the power and the wrestling of Cannonier, just stay ahead, win the rounds, stack it up. And then you're going to see Cannonier, who's being defensively sound as usual and, keeping himself out of the, distance. But Cannonier does not throw good volume at all.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. We saw it with the Gastelum fight. We've seen it in many fights here. I do think that getting down to this weight takes a lot out of Cannonier. I commend to him. He'll make 5 rounds. I just think he's going to be doing a lot of thinking and not a lot of moving and acting in this fight. So I think Israel Adesanya wins the decision. I don't think it's going to be super exciting, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think Israel Adesanya will win by unanimous decision. My favorite fighter in MMA right now, of course, if you follow me. I think it will be relatively competitive on the feet, but I do think Israel Adesanya will, for the most part, pick him apart for all 5 rounds and win by unanimous decision. Mm-hmm. He'll be able to stuff Jared's takedowns, and and really just cruise to a decision. Obviously, I'm very nervous still. I'd be nervous.
You're always nervous for his fights, though, right?
I'd be nervous if Izzy fought an ant. So,
Yeah.
so, but I think Israel for the most part will take him apart on the feet, while it being a competitive fight. That is possible, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Yep. Fair enough. So we do agree on the main event here. Really quick, I'm going to try to concoct a 5-piece parlay, the Zhongli 5-piece parlay for you here. I'll be honest, right now I got 4 pieces to it. Having trouble with the 5th piece of it here. There's a few spots I looked into it. I'll tell you the 4 I have right now, though. And maybe we can figure this out together. I got Duplessis to start out my parlay. I've got Jim Miller. I've got Sugar Sean O'Malley. I got Israel Adesanya. I'm trying to decide between my 5th piece, and my 5th piece would be either Jalen Turner, which I'm a little bit nervous against, a Brad Riddell, or Barberina. All right, we're going to put an underdog in the 5-piece parlay of Barberina. So
I would feel more confident. Yeah.
So the 5-piece parlay for this week, and this is a challenging one for sure, but Dricus Duplessis, Jim Miller, Sugar Sean O'Malley, Brian Barberina, and we're finishing off with Israel Adesanya there, well into a good 4-figure parlay, especially with the underdog there. But yeah, should be an interesting card. Jalen Turner money line with Jim Miller. Jalen Turner money line with Jim Miller at plus 155. Parlay should be Macy fight over. It's a money line parlay. AY not but Macy fight over, Alex fight over, Gabe Green fight over, Lawler fight over, and O'Malley fight over. All overs, baby. Let's go. Yeah, exactly. So that's gonna do it. We made it through. Apologies for yesterday, and again, next week I will have a different setup here. So it should be operating much more smoothly. But I just want to say thank you to you, Many. You've been a supporter of this channel from when we had 5 subscribers to when we're now at 535 subscribers. It's been a really cool journey for sure. Had 20 viewers on the show today, so really appreciate you all checking it out. We'll have the timestamps all up in the parlays here as well. So absolutely visceral. I'm glad I could get back on and get this to work out because I'm not missing a week, and the only way I'm going to miss a week is if I literally can't do it. But either way, it's going to be a good card. Super excited for it. The PFL, not as excited for on Friday. I'll be honest. PFL, I'm still going to be covering them, but the PFL is very, very low on the priorities at this point. I don't know what the PFL is doing, but this is a good UFC card. And again, good luck to everybody out there. Many, tell people where they can find you and anything else you want to mention before we take off.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it. Follow Aaron the Dog, of course, on Instagram and YouTube and all the other social media platforms. Follow me and May Ideas on Instagram, Meyer. And thank you, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Definitely put Elena Klinsnik in your parlays as well. She's facing Vanessa Mello. I agree with AY. You're welcome, Manny. Aaron the Dog, YouTube. If you're here right now and you're not subscribed, you should probably subscribe. I would probably hit the bell too because I usually go around 2 or 3, but I will surprise you at points. Life is getting busier. I try to go as consistently as I can. Wesley Snipes, you're all good, man. You're a huge supporter. Watches the videos live when you can. I know you can. So that's going to do it for this week on the show. PFL is at the beginning of the video. I'll put timestamps up right after this. Never, never parlay women. That's for another. That's from Kelly. But enjoy 276, everybody. Sean Strickland by submission. Let's go.
Yes.